Well, we're joined this morning by Mr. Esan Ogunleye, who is a former registrar and CEO of Nigeria Institute of Bankers. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Well, part of the issues also focused on a long while before this was passed, and perhaps it will even be after the president has eventually put pen to paper on the budget, is funding the budget deficit. Now, do you think we have, first and foremost, that particular part all sorted out?
Well, I would say that budget, as a matter of fact, is a statement of intention. And the president made it clear that we're running a deficit budget to be funded through foreign and local loans. So there's no pretense about that. So one will expect that good arrangements will be made to fund the differential, which is the shortfall. But having said that, and more importantly, outside the usual fashion statements of various types of mantras, change mantra, budget of hope, budget of all of that, which we are now very accustomed to. The president made a statement that this is a serious article of faith, and I like to believe that it's about time that we have a very serious document to be followed through dedicated implementation process, and not just mere statement of intention. Having said that, if as a first step the various points raised at the presentation and the signing ceremony is to be taken seriously, I think the first step will be the allocation of funds to reflate the economy through the infrastructural development of 350 million to billion to start with.
Do you think that will have perhaps a direct impact? But because people say since it's for infrastructural development, it will take a while.
Naturally so, but a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. That's the way I see it. But the seriousness of that, I'm trying to align such a statement of intention also with the statements by two of his ministers within the last few days, particularly that of Fashola regarding the plan for incremental supply of electricity, which is very crucial, and that of the solid minerals minister, Dr. Kayode Fayemi. I wasn't looking at any of those statements in isolation. If one looks at them collectively and with the seriousness they appear to have made such statements, then one can be sure that this first step of releasing 350 billion towards infrastructural development will be a good step, and I think it's monitorable.
The question, while you're talking about the release of funds, let me just take you back a bit. There are those who will be concerned about the, for lack of a better word, veracity of this budget, this document, seeing that it's been surrounded with controversies before the signing. Issues of padding, issues of insertion of projects that shouldn't have been there, and all that. Do you think this document, in your opinion, is worth holding on to? Are we sure that there are no other discrepancies within that might be raised again later on?
To the extent that padding had been with us for over 20 years, and no one had ever raised any finger before now. So to that extent, I believe that there was some measure of good intention to really make sure that what we're having is a slim type of budget that can be followed through. A number of things had been exposed, which in the past 20 years, nobody had the business of looking at all. So while it may not be perfect, it is obvious that this is not going to be business as usual.
You know, I was coming to the area of the solid minerals, which you mentioned, because we've also heard him say it everywhere and anywhere he went. The last time was at the John Odemi's lecture, where he said huge amount of money he said that we can get out of that sector, and it would seem as if he needs more of the talking and proof to show that truly there lies in there a whole lot for people to come invest in. How much of that do you think that we can do because if we're running a deficit and we really need all the monies we can get, and it seems as if someone is pointing in a particular direction saying, hey, wait a minute guys, we have a whole lot lying untapped here. How well can we help to raise our awareness if there is any faith in that?
Well, I think that looking at Fayemi's statements on that occasion, particularly coming from Minister of Solid Minerals, I tend to take it more seriously this time around, because that speech contained quite a lot that people bandy around since over the years, but it went down much more seriously on some of the details, and the benefits are accruing to bigger investments, bigger exposure, publicity about the availability of mineral resources under the belly of Nigerian soil everywhere. And quite unlike oil, crude oil, minerals are very well spread across the entire country, across zones. There's no geographical boundaries, no political boundaries, unlike oil, which has to be piped from one location to the farthest end of the country. So it could be easily seen that the mineral resources available to this country had been grossly understated. Because according to him, and I have no cause to doubt what he said, is that for over 50 years, the study carried out had not been updated. Therefore, the more current study of the location and the intensity of minerals available in this country will be much more enormous than we ever thought. And the distribution of them also will be a big advantage. However, it's not just there for the take. It requires a lot of investment and a lot of awareness for people, both local and foreign, to participate. But the beauty of what has been exposed, or what is being exposed, is the fact that it will be one of the quickest ways to create jobs for the masses of this country. And then, of course, it gives us variety in the way that interest is shown by the foreign investors, because it's not a monolithic product like oil. You have diverse shades of solid minerals, pyrites, gold, name it, tin, everything, and they're in different locations, and they are replicated in different parts of the country, unlike oil.
You know, I'm just wondering, in terms of the revenue to fund the budget, because I mean, the budget was predicated on oil production of 2.2 million barrels per day. But then there are reports that suggest that, I mean, after the second attack in the oil installations, we now have, I think, about between 1.5 and 1.6 million barrels of crude per day. So that directly will have an immediate impact on the revenue, and by extension, revenue to fund the budget. So with that happening, you still see us going through and funding the budget properly?
Well, these are, I think, occasional occurrences, which I believe there should have been some measure of cushion in the budget to meet exigencies. However, funding of the budget itself, of course, remains a big challenge for government, and that's why there should be some measure of electricity for the...
On which, where would that come from? The crude oil price? Because the price has gone down again.
It's gone down, but it's not supposed to remain stagnant throughout the year. We are talking about averages now, meaning that it could be up, it could be down. And the forecast shows that the amount that the budget was predicated on was quite reasonable to absorb certain shocks.
But do you think the leadership is open to taking some drastic measures in terms of cutting costs? Because if we're going to be able to fund the budget without necessarily having to borrow everything, there will have to be some drastic cutting of costs.
Yeah, part of the cardinal's objective expressed in the president's remarks is the fact that there will be a more serious pursuit of efficiency in the administration of this budget.
But does that relate to cutting costs? More efficiency, does that relate to cutting costs? Because that
yes.
Okay.
In fact, the first line of action is cutting costs to reduce waste, which has become our official traditional approval, which is well known, which got us to where we are. So plugging of the loopholes, and there's going to be a reliance on the Treasury account, which has been projected also as part of the reason for managing the economy during the year. With that, there's going to be reliance on, mainstreaming and slimming down of wastes to be able to fund the budget.